I've talked before about my Stim toys, and this is a quick update on some new ones that I've picked up. So the first one is Magic Snake. This is from The Works in the UK. It has these little triangular pieces, and one side of those has little bubbles on it. The other has little indents. So it moves. Each piece goes to 90 degrees and then clicks. So you can see there's a bit of resistance to it and you can make different shapes. This is quite fun. I think especially want something that I have to push a little bit more against. Another family member got one too and likes it. And I also like that the pieces are quite hollow. So you get to tap. It's something I like doing. The downside of it though is I don't think it's really that strong. I'm quite gentle with it, but if you wouldn't have to put much pressure on that, but I think it would snap. And I don't think the pieces are going to go back together after that happens. But they are cheap, so even if you were a bit rough with it, you could get another one. The next two items are a variation on something I have a lot of, which are tangles. I'll just show this one quickly. So it does all the usual tangle stuff. The thing that's interesting with this one is that it has texture pieces on it, and they're not all rubbery like some of the old ones. And also it's not like the shiny ones with this texture, which I do have one of, where the colour is a coating, so you feel like you'll damage it if you actually use it. These are just solid plastic pieces. So in textures we've got the bobbles, just like the shiny one I've got, ridges and bobbles, like snake skin, twisty, and that's a bit like giraffe skin. We've got pink, blue, yellow, and a clear one with a bit of glitter. Now this is the Crazy range. Yes, I really called it that. I thought it was a nice addition with all the different textures and stuff, although I'm not particularly fond of this colour scheme. I think it was the best of the bunch they had, but it's not what I would go for preference. Now the next tangle I like a lot better, I think, and that's this one. That's a pet tangle. You can see we've got a little kitty and the little kitty's tail attached by rings. They do move up and down a bit. They're kind of a firm rubber, so they're not going to snap off, but they're not like a squishy. And there's one kind of texture piece. These are with the ridges, the bobbles. Now it was really a toss up with these between getting the cat one or getting the sloth, because they're both purpley. The sloth's actually a lot more purple with glitter bits, but I like the texture on this one better because this is one of my favourite textures for rubbing over like that. Also, you've got to like kitties. This was a bit of fun. I think this is the most different compared to current tangles of the two that I got. So that was cute. Now the last of the plastic items, this little pony. This is a Twisty pet. They're not sold as Stim toys, but I could see potential, so I thought I'd try one. So we've got the feet and things there, and you twist the elastic out. Now I have a long thing, and the elastic, And it also could be worn like a bracelet. So this one's sold as a kid's toy. And I thought with the sort of shiny beads and things that it might be quite fun. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I haven't ended up stimming very much with it. I also think the elastic probably would break after a while, probably faster than some of the other things. So in the first of the metal items, I have a Fidgetland Rizzle. They have a number of similar items, but this is the one that has the little metal rings on the middle bit. They have the purple one. So we've got two big rings, these little pieces joining, and then those middle rings. And you use it just like this. You can just roll it round. You can do that with two hands if you want. You also just go on the finger and then just roll the little bits. Now these are made in America, so they're a bit expensive in the UK because they're imported. But I think it's worth it because I've used this one the most out of all of them. As previously, the things I have made out of metal, they're things you can hold, but they don't really move. So this one, you can just hold it, but it has the movement too, and the jingle sound. So like bells, that's quite good. So this has been a success. Now one thing that could happen, these coloured rings, eventually the colour's going to come off because it's like a coating. But that said, I've had this several months now and I've been using it a lot like this and they haven't come off. So I think it's going to be a little while until that happens. The last item is a metal infinity cube. So I'll show it in action first. So it just infinitely folds into the flat bit and then back into the cube. Unlike the plastic ones, this one's a lot heavier. And also because this isn't a coating, it's not going to come off with use. Which is one of the things I particularly don't like in toys, because you feel like you can't use them, and that defeats the whole point of having them. It also doesn't have any bearings or anything to make it heavier, so it doesn't rattle unduly. Only the sound as it does its infinity thing. So that's pretty neat. And it was popular with the family. One of them got one of these after seeing it go. So that's quite neat. So I'll bring all the things back. We have the magic snake, the crazy tangle, the pet tangle, twisty pet, Rizzle, infinity cube. So none of these are bad. There wasn't any one that I thought was a terrible stim toy in every way or anything. Though obviously some I use more than others. The Rizzle has been really good. That's probably my favourite of the ones that's here. The Twisty Pet wasn't as good. I just haven't really been stimming with it. Seemed like a nice idea, but just didn't quite work out. The rest I've all used a bit. Though I'd say the pet tangle is my favourite of the two tangles. Because I think it's the most distinctively different to tangles that would come before it. Having the little animal there. It's a nice little innovation. Makes it a little bit different. So that's it for now. If you have any questions about any of them, I will be happy to answer. And that'll be it, unless I get any more Stim toys, which will probably happen at some point, but I accumulate them slowly. That's all for now.